Hey everybody, welcome to my video edition of brewing your own kombucha at home. This video will basically be just how I would conduct my live demonstration as if I was to come on your site, but instead in a video format so that you can see basically what you're going to need to get started and keep a perpetual brew going for kombucha. So, in the interest of full disclosure, I did do a couple of items ahead of time just to save time on this video so we don't have to do all this editing and cutting. But this is something that you will do to prepare to get your kombucha going. So first of all, take your hands, wash them really well, get them really super clean as I have just did. And what I did is I took 6 tablespoons of my loose leaf organic jasmine tea here, roughly 1 3/4 quarts of water, filtered. In fact, that's what you definitely want. You don't want it from the tap. And I have roughly 3/4 of a cup of sugar that I am going to add to this tea once it was strained, which yielded this right here. This is basically a sweet tea that you would make yourself. You can use green tea, white tea, black tea, oolong tea, any kind of tea that you want. And you would basically just make it to the strength that you would like it yourself. But if you definitely, if you're not a sweet tea drinker, you must add sugar because this little SCOBY right here needs it to do its thing and start fermenting your kombucha. So this is the SCOBY that I culture myself from organic green tea and organic white sugar. And when I say sugar, this is the brand of sugar that I use. Florida Crystals Organic Raw Cane Sugar. Very good stuff. I highly recommend it if you were to do this. You always want organic everything, but this is an organic green tea SCOBY that I cultured myself, and you would get in the kit if you were to desire to purchase it from me. You can purchase this stuff on Amazon as well. And that fluid in there is what's called starter fluid. So it's very, very sour, very vinegary. And it is basically the same type of stuff that if you were to get Bragg, apple cider vinegar, unfiltered, raw, with the mother in it. Basically, that's kind of what this is right here. And it just takes about 2 months to get it to this size right here. So the tea that it's started in, it gets really, really sour. That's as time goes on and brewing, it becomes much more sour. So this is starter fluid and SCOBY. And one other item that I have up here is my personal brew that I have going. So this is a gallon size. This is twice the size that you would be making in a small kit. I do have these larger kits available. But whatever, I usually do the half-gallon kits so people can kind of wade into it. But once they advance, you can move up to these gallon size. But I just released some of the pressure, and as you can see, it's alive, it's bubbling, it's doing its thing there. And that is a ginger peach that I already did the second ferment on. So let's go ahead and get started. What we're going to do is we are going to go right on ahead and start making your first ferment kombucha here. So what we're starting with is a half-gallon jar. The tea that you brewed earlier, that's room temperature. And you'll basically alright. So there you go, you're in your glass jar. Glass jars are very important because the SCOBY does not like plastic or metal all that much. I mean, it can come in contact with it, but it doesn't like to sit in it. So now, this is the SCOBY and the starter fluid. So this is you getting started. So you would actually use that fluid that's with the SCOBY. So you take that and whoop, just like so. It's doing its thing. And basically what's going to happen now is that starter fluid is going to mingle with that sugar and it's going to start feeding on it. And then what it's going to do is that SCOBY on top there is going to start to grow and take the shape of its container. And as you can see in this one that I've had brewing, this is a regular size one here, but as you can see the brown bits at the bottom, that's kind of what you're looking for. And I think you could see the bubbles in this if the sunlight hits it right. You should be able to see maybe some bubbles going on in there, maybe not. But this is the end of the first ferment. So this is starting the first ferment. So now what you will do is take a coffee filter, put it on top of there, and close just like that. Alright, so you need the air to breathe in through there so the SCOBY can do its thing. It must have access to some oxygen. But you know, that keeps any kind of flies out and everything, so, you know, terrible stuff doesn't happen to your kombucha. Alright, but that's it. That's how you get started on your first ferment. You will take this and put it in a dark spot underneath a cabinet, maybe above your fridge, place that's warmer, and you will set it there for roughly 7 to 10 days, depending on the temperature of your house. If you have a cooler house, it may take a little longer. But if you have a warm house, like I do, it only takes roughly, 7 days to get to the point to where you start your second ferment. So you will take this, the SCOBY, and just put it underneath a cabinet in a dark space, 7 to 10 days. All right? Sweet. Next step. After 7 to 10 days, what you are going to have is something like this. All right? And you will see towards the bottom there is sediment down there. That's good. That lets you know it's doing its thing. And as the SCOBY does more ferments, it will start to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. In fact, you will see how big this one gets. So just for a little bit more safety as far as, touching the SCOBY and whatnot, I like to take one more extra precaution and put on a glove for this step. So now I will you see the SCOBY kind of floated up there to the top, and this SCOBY's been going for a while, so that's kind of why it's so large. But I will now take the SCOBY out. Alright, set it over here, and then take just a little bit of this, put it in with the SCOBY, because that's your starter fluid for your next ferment. Okay, remember how I showed you the SCOBY earlier with its starter fluid? Well, this is exactly what you're going to do. You're just going to reserve a little bit and the SCOBY, and there you go. And just to let you see this SCOBY, it has a whole bunch of brown bits around it, kind of a little bit wider on the top. That's pretty much what you're looking for. So don't be scared of it. This is the symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast that does the job for you. So you want that blob to get bigger and bigger. So now we have some kombucha that has been fermenting for 7 to 10 days, and you want to start your second ferment, which is the good part. This is where it starts to get yummy. You can take it any direction you want to go. So what I have here is some strawberries and blueberries, roughly about a cup. Now what I will do is I will take these and just mash them up a little bit with a fork to kind of expose some more of those juices, break those the skins of some of those blueberries, so more of that juice gets into the kombucha. And you're adding a little bit more sugar in once again from these fruits, so this is also gonna be fermenting even more underneath the counter. So I kind of mash this up a bit, releasing some more juices. And you want to use frozen organic fruit if you don't have fresh available. Always organic no matter what, fresh or frozen. But if you go with frozen, you can, if it's a really good brand, you can rest assured that it was frozen at its peak and it'll be available for you at a time that it's not in season. So I personally got these from the Greenwise brand at Publix. Greenwise organic strawberries and organic blueberries. So that's what these are right here. Alright. So they're nice and mashed up, as you can see. Lots of juice in there. And now you will just add this to the kombucha that has finished its first ferment. You will just simply add that in. Alright, so there you go. You have the fruit added in to your kombucha that is 10 days old. Now, you can choose to go with a clip top jar for this step that is in here, so you can have either one of these. Some people cannot turn these lids very well because of arthritis, so you may want to get a clip jar, which does the same thing. It seals the top and keeps air from getting out, okay, because it needs to kind of build up that pressure at this point. So clip top jar or a regular half-gallon glass mason jar. So on this one, you will not be using the coffee filter top. You will put on the sealer, and you will get it on there, you know, tight enough to where it gets a seal. All right, and you will now put this underneath the same spot that you had it before for another 2, possibly 3 days. And what's going to happen is all those berries and juices in there are going to infuse, feed the bacteria a little more, and it's going to create the fizz that you want and infuse that beautiful, wonderful flavor of those berries. And this will change the color. This will change to a really nice deep red color. So now this is the second ferment. It's going to go underneath for 2 to 3 days, okay? Or above your fridge, wherever you had your first ferment. So that is the second ferment starting, 2 to 3 days. So now let's talk about getting into the bottling phase. So this is kind of where you will need to use your strainer and funnel, if that's what you're going to use. With these berries and the big chunks, this will work just fine. But for this purpose right here, the one that I'm doing as my personal, this big gallon jug, so I'm going to use a little bit more different equipment, and if you want to upgrade to this type of equipment when you get really good at it, feel free. I'm kind of showing you how it's going to go. Alright, so this is after the second ferment. This has been under my counter for 3 days. This is a ginger and peach that I put in there, and I used one of those immersion blenders and chopped up the peaches and ginger, so that's why you see really, really tiny bits in there. And the smaller the bits, the more flavor gets infused. As you can see, it's a really peach color, if you will, and it's definitely got that ginger peach scent to it. And yeah, that's been going for a couple days now. And then as you can see, most of it floats to the top there. Let me give you a little bit better view. Alright, so that is the fruit that I put in there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to strain this. And what I have here is, this is called a chinois. It's a fairly expensive piece of equipment. I purchased that one for, I think it was $45 at a commercial food store. So that's kind of, you know, this is getting up there. Whenever you get really good at this and you're brewing sizes like this, that's probably when you may want to get something like that. But otherwise, you would use a funnel and a strainer for your small brew, alright? So just to let you know that. I am using a much larger operation here. Alright, so I'm going to move you a little bit closer to the sink because that's kind of where this may start to get messy. So, moving everything over here. This is the tea jug. Alright, so for my operation, the size that I do, I basically take it and I put it into this massive 3-liter jug. Alright. Whenever you do it, you will basically strain it into, you know, maybe a 2-liter jug, smaller one, with this, so it's easier to pour. So now, what I'm going to do, I will, to make it easier, I will take off this clip here. Alright, those always remove, so take that off. And like I said, this is kind of where it possibly may get messy, but let's see how clean I can keep it. So just pouring it through that chinois, and it's going to filter a lot of that debris for me. Nice, nice, nice. Working very, very well for me. All right, so now I have a few bottles that I'm bringing up, and just to show you that you can use any bottle, you can go to Marshall's and purchase bottles like this, or some people even use old beer bottles. Of course, you got to rinse them out and sterilize them as best you can, so that's basically what I did. So I'm just showing you this, that you can use any type of bottle that seals up real nicely. That's another thing, they got to be sealed nice. So these clip jars are pretty popular in the kombucha world. I know a lot of people like them, you know, because they clip on like so and come off easy. So there you go. And like I said, you know, if you're a beer drinker and you have extra gross bottles, then they clip really tight. So, you know, you don't have to throw those away. You can reuse them for this purpose. So now we're going to go ahead and go back here to the funnel. And I'm going to take this, put that, as you can see, I just set it right back in that, so it's dripping back into where it's going to go. Alright, so this is just a, you know, just some insight into how I do it. And some people like to extra strain it a bit, and what I have here is an even finer mesh. Alright, so you may do that, and that's probably what I'll do here, just to see how much of that chinois took out. So if this final one takes out more, you know, it may be a good idea. But let's see what it catches. So this is the bottling process. After your second ferment, it has all its wonderful flavor in it. You will now bottle it up. Right there. Okay, you don't want to fill it up all the way. You kind of want to leave a little bit of room for it to breathe. Put it on nice and tight at this point, okay? You really want to get that on there tight, alright? So that's the first bottle. Alright, let's move on to the second bottle here. And as you can see, it caught a little bit, but that's alright, because at this point you will basically throw it in the fridge if you want to go ahead and start drinking it immediately. Or one more trick is, if you want more of the fizz in there, you can take these and put them back underneath your counter for another day or two. And I have found that that can increase the fizz depending on what kind of fruit you use. So give it a whirl. If it's something you want to try out, you may do so. But this is pretty much ready to drink now. You can add some ice to it, or put it, like I said, I'm going to throw it in the fridge for a few hours before I start to enjoy it. And alright, so we're getting really low on here. So now we're going to just do another filter for this. So here we go. Back through the chinois. And finishing that off. So yeah, it's caught a whole bunch of that stuff. So we're going to just let that go through, finish out. So I just want to show you what the chinois is catching there. As you can see, it's catching all those bits in there really nicely. So like I said, that chinois is a very nice tool for whenever you really up your game and you do a lot more high volume, you know. Alright, so now that that's at that point, go ahead and do the final bottling here into this tall one right here. Alright. Move that back a bit. Move this back a bit. And just do it again. So this is basically a real-world demonstration. This is exactly what you will be dealing with when you get started and doing this stuff. So, you know, pardon the no editing thing, but I really just wanted to make this as realistic as it would possibly be whenever you do it, alright? So now, take the top on that, clip that, boom, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And we have enough left to put into this grolsch, alright? Sometimes it forms a complete seal over the bottle, so you may want to just lift the funnel a little bit so the air can escape. Alright, perfect, perfect, perfect. I'm going to wipe that off just a little bit. Alright, but there's the grolsch version, alright? And so this is what the finer, you know, it's still strained that out after the chinois. So it's up to you. You can do a thick, you know, a much more coarse mesh and then a finer mesh on your second pour when you're bottling. It's up to you. And then I still have a little bit left. So just to show you that you can drink this right now. This is room temperature, you know, been fermenting for 3 days with the fruits and the ginger. So now I'm going to pour that into a little glass here. Put some of that right there. And I'm going to take a nice little swig. Oh yeah. Yeah, that is peach and ginger right there. That's good stuff. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, delicious. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably throw those underneath the pantry once again for another day or two just to get some fizz up. But that's delicious. This is the peach and ginger. So that's about it, everybody. That is my demonstration for you. You can rewind, replay it, and kind of understand how we did this and where the SCOBY and where the reserve tea to your starter tea comes in. You'll get that, and hopefully you'll get up to the big boy like myself. I use this big massive jug right here for my first ferment, and basically what I do for that is, because it needs air, I just take a really nice clean dish towel and then I use a rubber band to put it on there. All right, so this is not the correct rubber band for that one. It's a little small, but let's see if I can get it on there for you. But you definitely want a nice tight rubber band seal of some sort. Oh, yeah, that's kind of rough, but it's going to get on there. It's going to get on there. All right, so there you go. Then pull it nice and taut, and then you can start brewing a big, huge one. All right, this is a gallon-sized jug. All right, y'all, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy your kombucha journey. And it's much more of an art than a science. You know, there's a little bit of science involved with the SCOBY, but it goes where you want it to go on that second ferment. And also, you don't even have to do the second ferment. If you just want unflavored, just don't put any fruit in it, seal it up, let it get some fizz, and you will have fizzy, unflavored kombucha, which is green tea, black tea. I use jasmine tea. So jasmine tea's pretty delicious on its own. I've experimented with that, and yeah, it's really nice unflavored. So if you just want to skip the whole step of adding the fruit, you may do so. But, you know, definitely want to do the second fermentation so it develops after the SCOBY is out and it's in a high pressure situation where it's doing its thing with no oxygen. So I guess that's about it. This batch yielded 1, 2, 3, 32-ounce bottles, 1 16-ounce bottle, and a little bit more to enjoy on my own. And that's the big ferment. So yours will be a little less, roughly half gallon. I would say it probably produce one of these and about a half another one. So have fun. Enjoy your kombucha journey. Thank you for tuning in. And you can find me on Twitter at it_organic. Or you can just Google Found It Vegan in Sarasota, Florida, and you will be directed to my page that way. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. And good luck with your kombucha. Bye.